European ossuaries. An ossuary is a chest, building, well, or site made to serve as the final resting place of human skeletal remains. They are frequently used where burial space is scarce. All over Europe ossuaries can be found and, fortunately for those of us with a love of the macabre, visited. Perhaps the most famous is the Catacombs of Paris, which are a vast network of skeleton-lined caverns beneath the streets of Paris. The photograph above comes from Santa Maria della Concisione di Cappuccini, a church in Rome, Italy, commissioned by Pope Urban VIII in 1626. The remains of over 4,000 friars can be viewed there. Some of the skeletons are intact, and draped with Franciscan habits, but for the most part, individual bones are used to create elaborate ornamental designs. Mary King's Close. For years the hidden underground closes of Mary King's Close, in the Old Town area of Edinburgh, Scotland, have been shrouded in myths and mysteries, tales of ghosts and murders, and myths of plague victims being walled up, and left to die abounded. In 1645 life of the close was shattered forever. The plague struck this little community, and there is a tale that the local council decided to contain the plague by incarcerating the victims, bricking up the close for several years, and leaving them to die inside to die. It is likely that this is why the close was nicknamed Street of Sorrows. It certainly has a reputation of being haunted. One ghost of a little girl, Annie, has become something of a local celebrity, sad because she had lost her favorite doll. There is now a room full of gifts left by visitors for her. Pictured above is the plague suit of Dr. George Ray, who worked in the area. Château de Mecquel. The Château de Mecquel was home to Gilles de Rais, 1404–1440, a Breton knight, the companion in arms of Joan of Arc, and a Marshal of France, but best known as a prolific serial killer of children. In 1434–35, he retired from military life, dabbled in the occult, and depleted his wealth by staging an extravagant theatrical spectacle of his own composition. Sometime between spring 1432 and spring 1433, the first child murder occurred, and was followed by similar crimes. The victims may have numbered in the hundreds. After raping the boys he kidnapped, he would slash their throats, and masturbate in their blood and innards. The court transcripts from his trial state, when the said children were dead, he kissed them, and those who had the most handsome limbs and heads he held up to admire them, and had their bodies cruelly cut open, and took delight at the sight of their inner organs. And very often when the children were dying he sat on their stomachs, and took pleasure in seeing them die, and laughed. He was executed by hanging at Nantes on October 26, 1440. Gilles de Rais was the inspiration behind the tale of Bluebeard. All of his crimes took place in the castle of Mecquel, which remains to this day. The victims' bodies were stuffed in the walls, dropped down chimneys, and buried around the site. Leap Castle Oubliette. Oubliette Leap Castle is an Irish castle in County Offaly, about 4 miles north of the town of Rosscree. It was built in 1250, and in 1659, the castle passed by marriage into the ownership of the Darby family. Many people were imprisoned and executed in the castle, and it is supposedly haunted by several specters. The most terrifying of these beings is a small hunched creature, whose apparition is said to be accompanied by a rotting stench of a decomposing corpse, and the smell of sulfur. Not far from there, workers discovered an oubliette, which is a dungeon where people are locked away and forgotten about. There are spikes at the bottom of this shaft, and when workers were cleaning it out, it took them 3 cartloads to carry out all the human bones at the bottom. A report indicates that these workmen also found a pocket watch dated to the 1840s amongst the bones. There are no indications of whether or not the oubliette was still in use in that period. Restoration work is being undertaken, so this is an ideal future travel destination. Pavaglia. Poveglia is a small island in Venice, which was home to Venice's plague victims during the three major outbreaks during the Middle Ages. It was also used by the Romans for the same reason. This is an island with an almost exclusive history of death. In addition to housing dying plague victims, and serving as a giant plague pit, it was used as a leper colony for many years, just when you think it couldn't get worse. In 1922 a mental hospital was built on the island. One of the doctors working at the hospital was attacked by the insane patients who threw him off the top of the hospital tower. The ruins of the hospital remain to this day. Through its history, over 160,000 people died on the small island. It is said that part of the island's core consists of a layer of human remains, and that fishermen avoid the area because they may pull up body parts. If you want to visit the island, you will need to become friendly with some of the locals who keep vineyards there, because public access is absolutely forbidden.